Hello, hello, once again, welcome back to another interview. We've got two titans of Hero Story on screen this time around. We've got Iden and Flub, who are going to be facing off against each other for the second time in a short little while. How are you both doing? Iden, how are you on this dark, dark day?
I'm doing quite well. Woke up not that long ago. Pretty excited to do some practice today. Have a good
Nice,
day.
nice. How are you feeling, Flub?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a nice day. Probably going to do some practice later as well.
Nice, we got the beverages, I can see. We got
Mm-hmm.
whatever's going on inside that. What was that? It was like a mix of a can, a flask, a mug. What we got there?
It's a hydro flask.
I see. And we got Iden
So it's like a...
With the Pepsi, of course.
with the Pepsi. Nice to see. Alright, but we've got it coming up on February 11th. The rival battles up against each other once again. Obviously, Hero Story on the agenda for both of you. Both coming off the back of second and third place in the HST qualifier, respectively. Both did quite well, but it was the one who took that place off the other. So, I'll start with a couple of questions just about Hero Story in general. Obviously, Iden, you're kind of back on the tournament scene lately and whatnot. What's kind of made you want to come back?
Yeah, well, I thought I'd join the race for fun. I hadn't played the game for a while. I thought it'd be quite fun to do something. And then after playing against people, I've had a lot of fun. So I've been playing the game a lot recently. Been getting a lot better again. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah, it's been cool seeing you come back and seeing you sort of on the stage and whatnot. What do you sort of feel about how you did in the HST? Obviously, gonna have a little bit of tournament rust, but still did pretty well.
I wasn't the most happy. I hadn't played like any races at all for years, so I think that was kind of the issue. I just had a lot of nerves. I wasn't really expecting it. So I'm hoping to play some more races. I should get back into the mindset.
When was your last tournament before that? Was it 2020, 2019, I think?
2019, yeah, probably.
Okay, so near 3 years plus without entering into any kind of thing like that. So decent stuff to show that you still got it. And Flub, obviously, you've kind of been a bit more fresh on the tournaments lately when it comes to stuff.
Yeah.
You've been around and been doing pretty well as well. So your HST performance, second place. How are you feeling off the back of that?
I'm feeling really good. Honestly, that day I was playing really, really well. You know, that whole day where I had that losers run. And I'm really happy that I've improved so much since the previous qualifier, because this one was a lot more top runners compared to the fall qualifier. And I basically beat everyone except Katie. Like, that was really sick to come off of, for sure.
Yeah, so you got to have a lot of confidence in you right now. Just in terms of sort of where you go about, because obviously we've seen it with you, you kind of jump around from category to category and do pretty well across the board. When it comes to Hero Story, sort of, what is your sort of mentality, your history with that one? You know, how deep do you like to go? How much do you want to push it when it comes to this category?
Well, with Hero, I always kind of thought of it as like my most inconsistent category for a very long time. Even like a year ago, I had struggled a lot with it, and understanding knuckles and stuff like that. And so really just this past like year, ever since the HST last summer, I tried to learn the knuckles a little bit better, improve my senti, get sub 140 senti, stuff like that. And overall just like improve my consistency in these ILs. And paid off. I mean, from HST 22 to now, I've improved my PB by 2 minutes from like a 23:52 to a 22:17.
Yeah, near enough.
Over the course of the past 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, big leaps and bounds there. And Iden, obviously you've kind of been on the hero scene for a bit longer, been around the top for a fair old while as well. What's sort of your more detailed history when it comes to the category and stuff in terms of getting used to it and pushing it and whatnot?
So back in late 2018, I picked it up for the first time. I just had so much fun, and I just kept playing it for like a month, just practicing before I did any runs at all.
Oh, yeah?
And then I just got familiar with people and did some runs, got a pretty good time after a few months. I just played the game so much for a few months, I just couldn't stop myself. And then played some other stuff, other categories, and then I just kind of stopped playing for a while. And now I just kind of play on and off.
It's kind of a similar thing for the two of you. You kind of branch out. You've got a couple of games under your belts, whether it's SADX or other things. I know What have you dipped into? Is it Unleashed? I think I've seen your name on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the All Night Stages World Record in Unleashed, and I
Yeah.
play Static a lot, obviously, and some
Mm.
other stuff too.
So yeah, you've both obviously been around a lot and got just a lot of speedrun experience in general, not just the Sonic games, not just Hero Story by any means. Going up against each other, obviously, you've just met each other in the past. What was it? It was only about a week ago now, wasn't it? That HST 23 qualifier happened.
Yeah.
So coming off the back of that, obviously Iden Flub took the win there.
Mm-hmm.
How are you sort of feeling differently going into the rematch? Because I think I've spoken to Cryptic recently, and obviously Cryptic, a big fan of yours, speaking pretty big, saying he's ironed out the mistakes, the rust is gone, there's no fear.
For sure.
What do you think of that?
I have been practicing stuff, just because I hadn't practiced the game on a serious level for like 2 years, and it's been nice to like relearn some new stuff. I think I should play pretty well, hopefully. I don't know if I'm going to get CE skip. That's a different question, but the rest of it should go well.
Well, there you go. Flip of a coin, really. So,
yeah,
but
pretty much.
We'll see. And then Flub, you've obviously how much have you touched Hero actually since HST? Have you gone back and played it at all?
I think when I had started HST 22, I had about like 800 hours into the game, and then since then I've added 1,000. So the past 10 months, I've played 1,000 hours of SA2.
Oh wow! Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Since the HST final last week, have you sort of still been on the hero grind, or I saw you had a pretty good Statics run earlier?
Yeah, the thing is I feel like I burnt myself too much out because especially that day I played for 7 to 8 hours, as a result of me winning every match. So I had to take a step back for a little bit and chill out from Hero. I did some Senti, the past couple of days just to go back and improve that. And then last night I was doing just statics, just trying to get my mind off of the SA2 movement, because getting burnt out on it is definitely not very fun. And I could sense that I was definitely getting pretty tired mentally with the game for a little bit. So taking a few days off is definitely something I needed to do.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
my case.
And obviously, Iden, the opponent, once again. I know obviously you're not going to be underestimating anybody going in, but you've got the win against him previously. Are you going to be sort of going in with confidence still, or is there kind of that air of cautiousness? What are you thinking when it comes to going up against Flub? Sorry, when it comes to going up against Iden.
Well, I didn't, back 2 years ago, before I even ran the game, right? Because, Iden was at his peak actually before I even started playing Hero seriously. And he is just so much better than I am now. Back when he was getting close to 21. And I honestly think that for me, that race, considering even him getting a mid 23 with no CE skip, that's a sign that he's still definitely got it. And it's if he's still playing really really well and still improving, then it's going to be pretty tough for me, because I most likely probably will need to get maybe a 22 or something like that during the race. So
Can happen. Has happened. But
yeah.
same question then to you, Iden, about going up against Flub. You know he's a tough customer.
I do.
What did
Well,
you-
I was very impressed by the performance in the race. All the races on the last day. So I don't know. I guess I think I don't have the right mindset for races generally, and I might be a bit better at the game in general, but I don't know if that really helps if I get
it's
super nervous
interesting.
during races. So we'll see.
That's the interesting thing, really, about it. It's so much more than just a battle of the PBs. It is consistency, and it is how you perform on the day. So interesting to see that one. And sort of speaking of that sort of variation, going into any sort of race and whatnot, what would you say sort of your biggest strengths would be that are probably going to put you maybe at a little bit of advantage against Flub, for example? So maybe our stages in particular, speed, mech hunting, anything of the sort?
Well, not City Escape, but I think generally the end game consistency is all right. Pyramid Cave's usually pretty decent for me, unless I completely have a meltdown. Usually everything's good unless I have a big meltdown in like that last
Everything is good unless
usually
is a pretty good way to describe it.
unless it's really bad, but usually everything's pretty decent.
Well, there you go. And then for you, Flub, what would you say sort of your advantages are going to be going in?
I feel like my CE skip consistently is pretty good. I just need to make sure I don't have those days where I just keep getting stuck in pre-Wild Canyon, over and over again. Because then doing the strat over and over sometimes makes me lose track and actually causes me to be a little late, a little early with my presses, and as a result, I tend to, form that habit and then lose consistency of the strat. So um, I feel like right now, while I'm still fresh with it, I feel like CE is the big one. My Green Forest has been pretty hot as of lately as well. Getting consistent sub 120s, and getting like 115, 116. In some of these races too. Um, and I feel like besides that, I feel like the only things I really need to work on are like mission streak consistency and overall just pause hovers because as of lately that's been something I've been struggling with a little bit.
Okay.
But besides that, pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty solid. And so obviously you mentioned earlier as well, Flub, about that day, well both of you did, about that day of you, how many races was it? Was it
6 races?
6 races in one day.
It was, yeah. Actually, let me count. It was Deku, ID Geek, Iden, Katie, Aura Ace. Wait, was it 5? I think it was 5 actually. It was 5.
It was a lot of races. A lot of races at the very least.
Yep.
And obviously, on a day like that, you mentioned perhaps feeling a bit burnt out. But what is the difference then coming into something like this, where it's just a single match, where it's kind of just give it your all here and now? You know what you're up against. You know what you got to do. Is there a difference with mentality and preparation versus preparing for the slog of a tournament?
Well, I feel like preparing myself is going to be a lot easier because, I wouldn't be playing the game beforehand. And plus, it's a new day, so you never really know what's going to happen. I usually think of how I play is related to, the day overall, how it's going and stuff. And I feel like since, my last HST run, I had a pretty, good day. It was a different day, different mindset, different everything. Who knows? I may perform even better. May perform worse. You never know. I just gotta put in the work beforehand and get that ready.
So it's one of those like on the day coin flip kind of things then. Yeah. And then so for Iden, you yourself mentioned a little bit of not so sure about the mentality when it comes to the races thing. Again, the same kind of question when it comes to just doing a one-off kind of race, where there's perhaps maybe a bit less pressure, a little bit less expectation to go far and do many, many matches. What's the difference for you there?
I think that's definitely easier because I can just spend multiple days practicing for the one race and take my time with it and stuff. When you've got lots of races going on, you feel like, oh, I messed up this one trick in the previous race. Oh no, I've only got this many hours to practice it and get rid of the nerves and stuff for the next race.
Yeah, and kind of knowing who your opponent is and knowing kind of what level you're going to need to play at, I suppose, as well, is probably going to make a difference.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And so, when it comes to what we've got going on here with this event and such, with the Sacer events, rival battles and whatnot, obviously we've got a lot of other matches going on here. Both of you, 2 pretty high-level hero runners. When it comes to a potential... Obviously we've got titles being introduced, which is kind of an interesting new thing that we're going to get set up. Right now, I think, as far as I'm aware, out of the top hero runners, I think Aura has mentioned a little bit of interest in taking a shot at a title, but whether or not that would be anything that interests either of you, going for something like that to maybe defend Iden, would that be any of interest? Maybe a matchup against Aura again?
Yeah, that was sure an exciting match last time. I'd love to do that again. Yeah.
Yeah? So, potential look at that. And then Flub, same question for you then, really. Would Flub Hero Story title holder sound like a good ring? What are we thinking?
I mean, yeah, I I put in so much work in the past 6 or 7 months, and I think that I would definitely try to potentially go for that.
For sure.
So
Well, we'll wait and see. Maybe the winner of this match will have something to say afterwards, but we'll find out. We'll find out. And in terms of, again, going back to the event, we've got other matches coming up on the card as well. We've got other categories, other runners being shown off. Is there anything on the card that you're sort of liking the look of, or anything that you are going to be tuning into? I'll ask you, Flub.
definitely focus Lab Silver, because that is such a cool category to watch, and I love seeing Focus back at it the game again, because he took a long break from 06 for about, I'd say now, a year and a half, give or take, and seeing him come back and play it again is really, really cool, and I'm excited to see how he's going to stack up after playing consistently for a year and a half.
Did mention, I
So.
think, a little bit of uncertainty due to rust and whatnot, but when
Yeah.
it comes down to it, obviously we got two top-level runners there. Would I ask you for a prediction of that race? Who you think might be taking it?
I mean, it could go either way, but I would say probably Lab, just because he's been, playing a lot. He's putting a lot of work into that category, and he's getting, pretty good times. And he has a faster PV than Focus does now.
Believe so, yeah.
I think it's probably, if I had to bet on anyone, it's going to be Lab, probably.
Okay. And then Iden, question over for you as well. What do you sort of think of the rest of these matches? Anything catching your eye?
The Sonic Story race will be interesting to watch. Both these players have decent PVs, not good enough to where they're super optimized, but good enough to where it'll be interesting to watch, and they might still not have the consistency to both play super well all the time. That'll be interesting, I think. I
That's
think
gonna
I'll
be
watch
one of
everything,
those.
though, generally. I've
Yeah.
played all these categories, mostly, except
Oh,
Heroes, I
right.
guess.
I was gonna say, yeah. I was like, I didn't know about the hero history, but there we go. But,
Yeah.
yeah,
I guess
well,
Sonic 06 I haven't played as well, to be fair. But whatever.
yeah, that's the
I'll
cool
watch
thing,
them all.
really.
cool.
06 getting a chance to shine. But yeah, no, as you say, that's kind of another fun thing about these matches. It's not all top runner against top runner. It's just a nice chance to see some even matches and not just things of,
Right.
you go into a tournament, there are going to be a lot of one-sided matches at the end of the day. So something like this, hopefully every match will be a banger. We'll see. But yeah, on that note then, so I guess that just about brings us to the end of it. Unless there's anything else left to say, I'll let you each sort of send a final message to each other going into the match. I'll let Iden, anything you want to say to Flub before we face off on February 11th?
I don't think so. I think I practiced a lot of Eternal Engine. I think that's something to watch out for. But other than that,
Yeah, gotta be hitting that Quan.
No?
yeah.
No parting shots? No last things to strike fear into the heart of Flub? Nothing?
I mean, yeah. I mean, best of luck on the practice and the rematch.
You too.
Because I'm very excited. It's gonna
Me
be a
too.
good time.
Alright, 100%, absolutely. Don't miss this one, Iden against Flub. Gonna be an absolute banger of a match, surely. We'll see what happens in CE, and then that'll decide the race. So, don't miss it on February 11th. We got a lot of cool matches coming up, hopefully a few more interviews to come as well. Thank you, Iden. Thank you, Flub, for hopping on here with me. And we'll see
Thank
you
you.
guys back here in a couple of days. So yeah, good luck, gamers. And we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.